Hello everyone, my name is Father Simon Isaki. I'm a Chaldean Catholic priest. I serve in El Cajon, California at St. Michael Chaldean Catholic Church. I'm here at the church filming this first video for Bible Eyes. For today, I'm going to be talking about the Synoptic Gospels. I just want to give you a brief overview of the Synoptic Gospels and just a couple characteristics of each of them. So first of all, which are the Synoptic Gospels? They are all the Gospels except for the Gospel of John. So it's Matthew, Mark, and Luke. And the reason why they are called the Synoptic Gospels, one of the reasons is that they are very similar in style and they share a lot of the same stories of the life of Christ, a lot of the parables, a lot of the miracles, unlike the Gospel of John, which he wrote much later than the Synoptic Gospels were written. He basically had seen all that the Synoptic Gospels had wrote, and then he wrote his own story of the life of Jesus. And so that's why the Gospel of John, if you read it after the Synoptic Gospels, you're going to see something completely different. So starting with the Gospel of Matthew, I just want to give you one of the many beautiful characteristics of the Gospel, is that the Gospel of Matthew has 5 long sermons of Christ, starting with the Sermon on the Mount. So it just has them recorded down. And one of the reasons why we can see that as a possibility is because Matthew was a tax collector before he became an apostle of Christ. And so he was probably one of the ones who would write down all of the words of Christ. And so he recorded 5 of the major sermons of Jesus, starting with the Sermon on the Mount. And in between the sermons are narrative portions about the life of Christ, stories, miracles that Christ did. And then the Gospel of Mark is similar to the Gospel of Matthew, but he doesn't have long sermons of Christ. He does have sayings of Christ, but they aren't long sermons like in the Gospel of Matthew, or how even Luke has a couple of the sermons. The Gospel of Mark was written mostly for the Roman people, and it is very fast-paced. He uses the word immediately all the time in the Gospel, and so it's a very fast-paced Gospel. It's a beautiful telling of the story of Christ, and it really shows the humanity of Jesus as well as his divinity. And then the Gospel of Luke is a beautiful story. Luke takes sources from different people. He actually interviews different people. He says that at the beginning of his gospel, how he spoke to people about the life of Christ. And one of the people who we can tell that he spoke to get information about the life of Christ is Mary. This is because Luke was not there for the life of Jesus. He came later on. He was a convert later on. And so Luke had to ask people about the life of Christ. And so that's one of the characteristics of the Gospel of Luke. It's definitely a great idea to delve into the Synoptic Gospels, to read them, and we will see the beautiful character of each of the Gospel writers, each of the evangelists as they tell the story of Christ and as they present him as a human being, as a God who became a human being, as God, I should say, who became a human being who lived in our world, who became one of us, and who wants us to know his story, to know what he did on earth so that we could try to be like him. God bless you all.